On this week's episode of Sports Page, we'll take a look at why Jenny's Volleyball remains ranked 20th in the nation and sit down with the Hall of Famer Mules golf coach.
We'll check out the record-breaking weekend for Jenny Soccer and hear from a senior Mules football player. Stay tuned as we take a look at all things UCM sports. Welcome to this week's episode of Sports Page. For my co-host Allie Overstreet, I'm Dale Fowler. Sports Page, the Mules football team was gearing up to face off against the #1 football team in the nation at Arrowhead Stadium. The Mules may have lost, but they held their own against the Northwest Missouri State Bearcats. With 34 seconds left in the game, the Mules scored a touchdown to lead for the first time, 20-17. The Bearcats responded with another touchdown, making the final score 24-20. The Mules were only the second team to score on the Bearcats defense, and before the game, the Bearcats were averaging giving up only 4 points a game. The Mules had a wild win against Emporia State the week before and were not able to continue their luck.
I mean, we won one last week, kind of like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so, when you're on the other end of it, it doesn't feel very good just because of the amount of effort that everybody puts in.
Well, the Mules got back on their feet this past Saturday in Kearney, Nebraska. They dominated the Lopers 45-7. They racked up over 500 total yards of offense and held the Lopers offense to just under 200 total yards. Quarterback Brick Boyles had his best game accuracy-wise, completing 27-37 passes for 325 yards. One senior receiver has been climbing his way up the ranks in program history for receiving yards. He entered the top 10 after the Emporia State game. Jada Hill sat down with him for this week's Senior Spotlight.
Hello, I'm Jada Hill with this week's Senior Spotlight, sitting down with senior wide receiver Kyle Eccles. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Well, I'm good, and it's great to have you sitting down on our show. So let's just dive right in. Of course, you're a wide receiver, so let's go back a little bit. When did you start playing football?
I started playing football when I was 7 years old. I played for the UCM Lions in St. Louis, Missouri. And it's kind of a funny story because when I first started playing, I actually played offensive lineman. And my coach had me on the O-line, and one day, it was like one practice, he was like, Eccles, throw me that football over there. And I picked up the football and threw like a tight spiral right to his chest. He was like, hold on, do that one more time. I picked up another ball, threw another tight spiral, and then he was like, come over here. Had me doing like dropbacks and stuff like that. And then after that, I played quarterback. So I was the quarterback my first year playing football, and actually led them to the Super Bowl, the Little League Super Bowl. So that was pretty cool. So after that, football pretty much had my heart.
Well, that's exciting, and that's crazy. I can't even imagine like a little version of you being anywhere near a line.
Exactly.
Okay, so you said you were quarterback. Okay, so when did this wide receiver title come about?
Probably like when I was 11 or 12 years old, not to like middle school. So like I said, I played quarterback at first. I played a little running back too, but once I moved out to like the urban area of St. Louis, I moved to a new team, and they already had a starting QB and a starting running back. So, I was a pretty good player. So they was like, I need to get on the field some way, somehow. And so they moved me to receiver. And I was a little shaky at first. It was hard for me to adapt, but it was pretty easy once it came to me. And ever since then, I've been playing receiver.
Okay, so in high school, has college football always been the end goal? Like in high school, what kind of like kept you driven? Excuse me. And did you always want to end up being a college football player?
Yeah, in high school, I was blessed to have a great career in high school. I was around a lot of good players. I was blessed to be first team all conference, first team all state my senior year. One of my goals in high school was always to go to state. We were always very good, and we were always this close to getting to state, but we never got there. But of course, I wanted to get to college and play on the next level. But I'm just blessed to be here. So.
And so we are so happy that you are here now, of course. But you didn't have a straight path to Warrensburg. Your freshman year, you went to K-State.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that experience.
Okay, well, before I ever went to K-State, I actually, coming out of high school, I committed to Eastern Illinois University. And due to a coaching change on their staff, I got my scholarship taken away. So I went to a prep school in Ontario, Canada, and I was there for about a semester. And then that's when I walked on to K-State after that, and I was there for about a year and a half. And I met a lot of good guys, had a lot of great experiences, and I was blessed to experience that type of lifestyle. And I'm just thankful to be here now and be a Mule.
So we know that you're happy to be a Mule. How did you, coming from those previous schools and then deciding to transfer, how did you pick UCM?
Well, I already knew a couple of the players here. One of the coaches, Coach Lamberson, Josh Lamberson, he recruited me out of high school, so I had some connections already. So after K-State, I had called Coach Lamberson up. He made some moves for me, and now I'm here.
So it's your senior year. I'm sure that it's so bittersweet for you, but have had a pretty great season thus far. What are your plans after graduation?
I mean, if it's in God's plans, hopefully I continue to play football. But if not, I want to stay around sports. I don't know necessarily coaching, but in like a management position, maybe for like a professional sports team, or like youth sports, and like a management position at the YMCA or something like that. But I got a lot of connections. I network with a lot of people, so I'm sure I'll be good in the future.
Well, that is super exciting, and good luck to you. Everyone, we're definitely going to miss Kyle on the field next year. I'm sitting down with senior wide receiver Kyle Eccles. I'm Jada Hill.
Thank you, Jada. After this break, we will take a look at highlights from Jenny's soccer this past weekend and check out cross-country results from the Fort Hays State Tiger Open. Stay tuned.
Historic, unique, exciting. As challenges continue to test the mettle of Americans, your community has to depend on willing citizens just like you to answer the call and respond to local disasters and other times of crisis. You may be surprised to find out who we are and what we do. In fact, it could actually be your story too. The Air National Guard.
I choose excitement.
I choose to make a difference.
I choose uncommon opportunities.
I choose Red to experience learning to a greater degree.
Choose Red. Choose the University of Central Missouri.
Welcome back. Last Friday night, second-ranked Jenny's Soccer took on the Central Oklahoma Broncos. The Jennies downed the Broncos 3-0 to remain undefeated. The Jennies scored all 3 goals in the first period to secure the win. Senior forward Abby Rhodes did an excellent job of traveling down the field past defenders to score a Jennies goal on the Broncos. Rhodes' second goal came at a later point in the period. This time she got the ball to the left corner of the field and hit her shot from 20 yards out to give the Jennies a 2-0 lead. Thanks to senior Kayla Hamner's free kick on the left wing, junior Jada Scott knocked in a header to score a goal and set the final score at 3-0. Despite not adding to the score in the second half, the Jennies still posted 10 shots with 2 on goal. Anna Dilks grabbed 5 saves on 13 shots faced, posting her 11th shutout. The Jennies now own the MIAA record for consecutive shutouts at 12.
Despite the tough and muddy field conditions on Sunday, the Jennies continued their shutout streak, posting 5 goals against the undefeated Northeastern State Riverhawks. Let's take a look at those highlights. Abby Rose dashed down the field to pass off the ball to Jada Scott, who heads the ball in to score a goal, making it 1-0. In the 12-17 mark of the game, Megan Woolley scored a goal off a corner kick, making it 2-0. The Jennies was not done there with the assist from Jada Scott. Kayla Hamner goal extends the Jennies lead to 3-0. After the halftime break, the Jennies got back to it. Megan Woolley begins marching down the field and trips up, but it is okay. Jada Scott ends up recovering the ball after a deflection and nailing the goal, making it 4-0 for the Jennies. The Jennies did not stop there. They did not let their foot off the pedal as well. After a great passing by the Jennies, Kayla Hamner nails in the last goal for the Jennies, making it 5-0, and the final for the game being 5-0. The Jennies remain undefeated at 12-0. After these games, the Jennies are now ranked #1 in the nation for the second time in program history. Dilks has a career total of 55 shutouts, putting her just 5 behind the all-time record holder in Division II soccer. They swept MIAA Athletes of the Week for their 3rd straight week. Scott, Hemner, and Dilks earned Offensive Player, Defensive Player, and Goalie of the Week.
Last Saturday, Mules and Jennies cross country competed in their 4th race of the season. The Mules took 3rd out of 19 teams, with 4 men finishing in the top 25. Freshman Shavnat Kipnitich was the top finisher in the 8K race with a time of 25 minutes, 32.9 seconds. The next Mules finisher was another freshman, Ronald Ayabe, with a time of 25 minutes and 52 seconds. And now for the Jennies. They finished 6th out of the 20 teams in the 5K race. Senior Nicole Svensson led the Jennies with a time of 19 minutes, 10.2 seconds. Freshman Mariah Elmore crossed the line at 19 minutes, 31.8 seconds. Kimberly Swicer followed 10 seconds behind. With both teams get a week off from racing to prepare for the MIAA Championships a week from this Saturday. UCM will be hosting the meet at the Mules National Golf Club.
Now let's take a look upstairs to Mule Skinner and hear from our sports editor about our record-breaking Mules and Jennies on their upcoming matches.
Hello everybody and welcome to News and Notes up here in the Mule Skinner. Jenny Soccer had a great weekend with a 3-0 victory against Central Oklahoma and a 5-0 victory against Northeastern State. Their shutout against Northeastern put their shutout total to 12 for the season and extended Anna Dilk's shutout record, her MIAA record that is, to 12. It also marked the 45th consecutive game that the Jennies have scored a goal. Speaking of records, football's 45-7 victory over Nebraska Kearney, Jalen Zachary caught 6 receptions, which made him the all-time leading Mules receiver with career receptions. That was his 150th. So he's the top career receptor for UCM, and he's just 19 yards away from being the all-time receiving yards leader for UCM. Volleyball swept SBU this weekend. It was the first time since November of 2016 that they held a team to negative hitting percentage, and the first time they held a team to less than 10 points in September of 2016. So a big weekend for volleyball as well. And don't forget, bowling starts here very soon, starts October 14th and 15th, and the bowling team is coming in the top 10 in the National 10-Pin Coaches Association's poll. So high expectations for the bowling team this year as well. As for our teams this week, soccer hosts Emporia State on Friday and Washburn on Sunday. Football has their homecoming game against Missouri Southern on Saturday, and volleyball continues a 4-game road trip against Washburn on Friday at Washburn. This has been your news and notes for the week. Thanks for joining me. I'm Jake Werther up here in the Mule Skinner. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jake. After this break, we'll check out how Mules and Jennies Golf did this past Monday and Tuesday. And later on, Allie and I will dive into the controversy of whether or not college athletes should be paid. Stay tuned.
I choose red for unlimited possibilities.
I choose red because my family is less than an hour away, but I still get to be independent.
I get to apply my classroom experience to my everyday life. That's why I chose red.
Okay, that'll work. Why do you choose red?
Choose red.
Choose red.
Choose the University of Central Missouri.
Choose red. Kidding, that was a joke.
Welcome back. Jennies Golf was at home this week as they hosted the Midwest Classic at Mules National Golf Course. Sophomore Olivia Sabaski and junior Elizabeth Leaf were the top finishers for Jennies Golf in a 4-way tie for second, shooting a 149 7 over par. Sophomore Madison Grisham shot an 80 9 over par the first day and finished with a 158 16 over par for the tournament. The Jennies team finished third in team standings, while the B team finished 10th. They have one more tournament for their fall season next Monday and Tuesday at Lindenwood Fall Invite. On to Mules Golf. After 54 holes, the Mules finished only one stroke behind the co-winners of the Missouri Western Holiday Inn Express Classic. They shot an 79-27 over par for a two-day team total. John Bonabro finished with a 2-11, 2 under par, making him the only player to finish under par. Shane Allen finished 7 over par, shooting a 220. He shot par on 40 of 54 holes, the most of any player in the field. The Mules also have only one fall tournament left. They will attend the Washburn Invitational next Monday and Tuesday. Earlier this season, the Mules got a chance to host a tournament at Mules National Golf Course, where Will got the chance to sit down with the head coach for Mules Golf to hear what kind of experience this brought to the team and also how the season is going.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner. I'm Will McLaughlin, and joining me today is Mules Golf Coach Tim Poe. Thanks for joining me today, Coach.
Thank you, Will. Good to see you.
You as well. So going into the season, preseason ranked number 17 in the country, number 14 in the country. You sit 19th after a few competitions. How do you feel this experience of younger and older athletes has been going for you this year?
Well, I think we've had some young guys step up and really play well, especially in our first tournament. I had 2 freshmen that I knew coming in that they were going to be kids that would push our upperclassmen to get in the lineup, and they didn't play particularly well in our first qualifier to determine our top 5. But then when we got into our tournament, they both played really well. Also, John Bonobra, a sophomore that has been in and out of our lineup, played pretty well. So to basically have two freshmen and a sophomore work their way into the lineup has been pretty exciting. And then they've gone on to play pretty well here since then.
Now, elaborating on that with your freshman and your sophomore, Bonobra and Sam Parrott, how is their connection into the team at such a young age? How has that been able to drive your leaders and older players like Shane Allen?
Well, I think it always helps when they're playing well. I mean, we want the 5 guys that are playing well to be in our lineup. So, like I've always told our recruits when we bring them in here, if it's 5 freshmen in my lineup, and they're playing the best, that's what we want. So that's why we do the qualifiers. That's why we've always carried a little bit bigger roster. We want the push from the other guys on the team to keep the guys that are traveling and on our top 5, on their toes all the time. And so, I think having young guys is exciting. I think it bodes well for the future. But then, it makes the rest of our team work a little harder to get themselves in the lineup.
Now, earlier in the year, you have your home invite, the Central Missouri, the Mule Invitational. What was that feeling like, being able to put together that tournament and just bringing in a lot of those teams that not only see regionally, but you also get to see at a conference level? What was it like being able to see them compete on your home course?
Well, it's always good to be at home. I think that's one thing about golf that's different than any other sport. I mean, a basketball court, it's the same dimensions. The hoops are the same height. Football field, they're all 100 yards, and the goals are all the same.
Yeah.
Golf courses, you do get a big advantage, playing your home course that you play every day. But I think the exciting thing, Will, this year was being the first time we hosted at Mule National. We were really excited to see, especially the coaches that had been here prior and played our old golf course, what they had to say about the new golf course. So that was kind of the exciting part about hosting this year, was anticipation of what they were going to have to say about our golf course, and we got nothing but rave reviews.
Now, for you personally, we're going to rewind back a year, 2016, beginning of the year. You're nominated into the GCCA Coaches Hall of Fame. What was that feeling like for you personally, knowing that you had been elected for that in, again, your 28 years of coaching, doing it all here at the University of Central Missouri?
Well, my initial thought was, man, I'm getting old. To be, you think about Hall of Fame kind of ending your career, and, I'm not ready to end my career yet. But no, I mean, it was a tremendous honor, Will. I think what's was so meaningful to me is you're selected by your peers.
Yeah.
So to have my peers and coaches that I've coached against for the 28 years to nominate me for that, I mean, I was very humbled. And I, see the other guys, other coaches that were nominated. I mean, that was one heck of a class. Jim Nance,
yeah,
Jay Sewell, Mike McGraw. I mean, 2 of probably the best Division I coaches of all time, going in with me. And of course, Jim Nance,
yeah.
Jim Nance. I mean, it was just an incredible day or evening to be nominated with those. I was sitting in that room going, man, what am I doing here?
Like, this is actually happening.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just unbelievable. But I owe it all to my players, and the opportunity to be here at University of Central Missouri. I mean, to start my career playing here and to be able to stay here and do what I love to do. I mean, it was just a lot of reflection that night. Looking back over the 28 years and being able to think about all the guys that started with me, back in the late 80s and early 90s, and this is their award too, and all the players I've had that they were all part of this award and getting me into that position. So owe a lot to them and the university for the chance to do this.
Awesome. Well, Coach, we thank you for joining us on this segment of Coach's Corner. We wish you the best of luck for the rest of this fall season and the upcoming spring season.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Will. Jennies volleyball continued their undefeated home streak this weekend against Missouri Southern Lions on Saturday. Their 3-0 victory over the Lions was their third straight victory. Freshman Audrey Fisher was set up for a one-set killed the ball down for a Jennies point to start the game off. Seniors Molly Lawrence and Casey Holland tried to get a touch on the ball. Freshman Allie Offerdahl sets up Casey Holland for a massive kill. She had a total of 9 kills this game. Freshman Hannah Van Buskirts hits a cross shot that Missouri Southern could not get over the net. But Missouri Southern does respond with a one-set kill of their own to give them a point. Van Buskirk played a great game. She was the only other Jenny in double-figure kills with 11 total. Junior Kylie Holland managed to get her serve over with an ace. In this particular game, she also surpassed 1,200 career digs. Van Buskirk kills a beautiful line shot for a Jenny's point to put them on the scoreboard. The Jennies continued to bring the heat, and the Lions could not get a handle on the ball. Van Buskirk continued to utilize her hard line kills to help the Jennies gain momentum. The Jennies landed 53 total kills compared to just 31 for the Lions. Casey Holland gets set up with back-to-back strategic back set and cross kills the ball down for 2 big Jennies points. Van Buskirk takes a massive approach and slams the ball down for a line hit. Sophomore Riley Nigenfine goes straight over a Lions blocker for a nice roll kill to give the Jennies their largest lead, 20-12. A major point in the game for Van Buskirk as she goes against blockers, only to be set up again for a precise line kill. She also manages a cross kill to keep the Jennies undefeated at home this season, 3-0. They remain 20th in the American Volleyball Coaches Association poll and are now 6-1 in conference play. After this break, Dale and I will take a look at whether college athletes should be paid for this week's segment on Pro Talk. Stay tuned.
What if television could remember the heroes we honored, the music we danced to, the dreams we chased?
The hope still lives and the dream shall never die.
No one tells our nation's story like PBS. Give to your PBS station and help bring America's story to life.
I choose red to blaze my own trail.
I choose red to be with students and faculty who make me feel at home.
I wanted a university with a big picture perspective. That's why I chose red.
Why do you choose red?
Choose red.
Choose red. Choose the University of Central Missouri. Choose red. Can I do that? Is that allowed?
Live with a human for a while and you get to know a few things. Like, I know she's actually not a morning person. I know she does strange tricks for no treats. I know that water makes her howl like crazy. I even know how the floor stays so clean. She's quick. But the one thing I will never for the life of me know is how she gets so tiny and inside that box. Natalie, how do you get so tiny?
Welcome back to our segment, Pro Talk, where we discuss what the pros are talking about. So Dale, like a major controversial topic in sports right now is whether or not college athletes should be paid, and also if athletes wanting to go to the pros, if they should even attend college. So what are your viewpoints on this topic?
I feel that athletes do have to attend college. It's just important because you'll never know what like, you know, injuries that are happening to you, and then since you are already in college, you are already pursuing an education. So if a freak accident does happen, you're prepared. You don't have to worry about it if you can't continue going on and playing, you know, either sport, because, you know, with basketball, I can understand why they feel like they should, you know, sometimes even skip college simply because it's a non-contact sport. And, you know, you've seen players like LeBron James, you know, Kobe and them who actually had great careers beyond that, and, you know, are set up to be Hall of Famers and also, you know, won championships behind it. But with football is, you know, you have more contact, you know, things happen to you. You know, you got more concussion injuries now, and that's really important because you have, you know, CTE now, that's a big thing going on. And, you know, athletes who have, you know, passed away, that's been what they are being diagnosed with, like with Junior Seau, who killed himself. You know, and also with Aaron Hernandez right now, who killed himself in prison. So you'll never know really, like, why. But honestly, I feel that they do need to attend college, and then they should not get paid. You're already going to college for free on a full ride scholarship, and you know, dorm living, everything is just set up for you, right? So honestly, they shouldn't be paid, and they need to attend college as well.
Exactly, I agree with you. So when going to the pros, I think you should attend college, like we said, with the injuries, like having something to fall back on, because if you go in like from the get-go and you tear your ACL, you're done for the season, and you have nothing to fall back on. You see so many athletes go broke, lose a lot of things that they care about. And then also with the paying, I agree with you too, because they're already getting these scholarships, they get these perks. Like I know here at UCM, athletes get to apply for classes first to accommodate to practices. So there's so many things that like play into this whole situation with paying. But I know there are issues with endorsements, like with Nike and Adidas. We had that one issue with a couple of the college athletes who are trying to get endorsed, which is illegal. So I don't know what they are trying to do with that situation, if there should be a rule change. But what do you think?
Yeah, it does need to be a rule change, because you can put those players in trouble, such as like Reggie Bush, who played for UFC. When they figured out he was getting paid for what he was doing in college, because, you know, he was a leading rusher, he was really the best in the Pac-12, one of the best running backs coming out of college during that time. And then guess what they did? They took away his Heisman, you know, his Heisman trophies and all, you know, everything else that was important to him, something that he can remember as he gets older, because that's an accomplishment for him. I mean, although that he was getting paid for that shouldn't take away what he was doing on the field. And that's why these endorsers need to watch what they're doing, because, I mean, as a college football, you know, it's big around in, you know, in the United States, stuff like that. A lot of people watch it every Saturday, you know, college game day, all them things, and people are making money off of them because they're seen on TV, and people who will be, you know, future NFL stars in college basketball they be future NBA stars. So really, that's one thing that they do have to watch for, and they need to you know, change the regulations so it can be, you know, better, so people know in the future what not to do. So
exactly. And then another thing that just lingers in the back of my mind is you are playing this sport for a reason. So I know money is a big deal. We need it to eat, live, like everything. But also you think like these college athletes just really appreciate and respect the culture that they're in, and they wouldn't need the money or the endorsements at this point in time, because college is also a time to like learn your maturity, find your niche, like grow up a little bit before you actually get to the pros. Like I know with hockey, we have some prospects for the St. Louis Blues who are 16 years old, 17 years old, and they're scoring and they're playing. But like hockey is a very contact sport, like we were talking about with football, with like the concussions, like anything can happen at any given time. And if they have nothing back to fall on, that money runs out at some point.
And that, you know, like you were saying about hockey and things like that being a contact sport, that's something that they do need to realize. And, you know, that's why sports like, you know, soccer and things like that, you can really be a younger player going into the league, because it's, you know, it's not, you know, non-contact, and it's how you really play yourself. It's just with basketball, like even basketball now, like you were saying before, it's not guaranteed. You have now more injuries that occur, ACL injuries, things like that. That's just been really popping up nowadays, especially in football. That's why athletes do need to play in college, because you'll never know what happened after them couple years. You know, you'll get an ACL sprain, ACL injuries, something that will probably really affect your play throughout your years, and then have, you know, owners and things like that really guessing, like, should I sign him? Like, will he be an injury-prone player? Like, you'll never know what happens, and then after that, your football career or NBA career is done. What you got to lean on now? I mean, you can always go back to college and things like that, but it's always best since you already there, you already have the years that's knocked out, and then you just go back and finish up. So yeah, these players need to really think about what they're doing, and I do encourage people to really go to college, get their education, and also, you know, complete your goal.
Exactly, I wholeheartedly agree. Well, that's all we have time for this week's episode of Sports Page. We hope everyone enjoys their homecoming week. For my co-host Dale Fowler, I'm Allie Overstreet. Thanks for watching.